This is a TalkStation original podcast.
On this week's episode of the Paper Boys podcast, JJ and I interview all three high school boys basketball coaches, Daniel Griffee at East, Will Kenon at West, and John Humphrey at Croatan. They talk about their upcoming seasons, and JJ and I give our predictions. It all starts right now on the Paper Boys podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Paper Boys podcast. I'm JJ Smith.
And I'm Zack Nally.
We're reporters with the Carteret County News-Times. And it's basketball week here on the podcast. The NBA has played like half a dozen games. College has just started. High school is right around the corner, so we're going to be talking to the three county boys basketball coaches. And we're going to start off with the veteran, the wily old guy. East Carteret's Daniel Griffee.
Crazy. I'm the old guy.
If somebody told you a few years ago you were going to be the longest tenured coach in the county, what would you have said?
Crazy. Wow. Never thought that them words would be in my name, or my name be in those words in a sentence ever in my life.
The grizzled veteran.
Yeah. It's crazy.
That's great. It's a great word
all of
for
your
it.
five.
in Carteret County.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we got a couple of rookies. We got Will Kenon at West Carteret, first year, and I think a first-year coach regardless of.
Right.
And then John Humphrey at Croatan, again, I think a first-year ever coach.
Well, he was an assistant last year
Right.
for Croatan.
And
Head
first-year
coach,
coach in the
Yeah,
county.
yeah.
So, you're just, man, you're way over those
It's
guys.
wild. It's wild. Never thought about it like that.
You're going to be getting some phone calls for some advice here soon.
How do we
It's
do
all
this?
learning experiences.
Well, tell us right off. Give us your opening statement here on the 2023-2024. Wow, that year sounds made up. The Fighting Mariners, how they looking?
We look good. Yeah, we're loaded down with seniors. We've got six or seven seniors. Shamel, Baker, Charles Matheka. I've said his name wrong for 3 years.
Oh,
His
no.
mom
That's how I've always
corrected me. It's Matheka.
Matheka.
Not
Okay.
Matheka. Got
Better late
them
than never.
leading the front. Best two guards I've ever had.
Wow.
4 years in a row.
Four-year starters.
4 year. Well, Charles didn't start his freshman
Oh, that's
year.
right.
So they had Benny and Henry
That's
Tillett. But then Charles has started since his sophomore year.
They're the kind of guys that feel like they've been in there about 10 years because they've been so good for so long.
Yes, and very rare. Got them, but then the guys behind them, Jaden Watson, sophomore last year, he'll be out there. Darren Piner, Sean Walker. He was a surprise to me last year. He did good. They're going to fill it up, and then we got a kid named Kai. I can't say his last name. It's like Thamus. It's a wild last name. He played golf last spring. He moved in.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a moniker on him.
Yeah, he
Themasagofa or something like that.
It's I can't pronounce it.
He's a big kid.
Took a stab at it.
Good kid.
Yeah.
He's never played organized high school basketball, but he can play.
Okay.
It's gonna be a learning stretch for him. Got some Vaughn Bryce. He played football player. He hasn't ever played much, but this year I think we're gonna be able to use him. So we're senior heavy for once, and looking forward to it.
Shamel and Charles played football their junior year, showed what kind of athletes they are. He's helped lead East to a conference championship. They were undefeated in the league. They, other than one game, which was a tough, I think, a 5-point spread with Northside Pinetown. Every other game was like 50-10. Good in the secondary, good receivers. I'm sure they came into that league that year beat up. Or what's the difference in them from coming off of football to not coming off of football? They chose not to play this year.
Not beat up, definitely. Charles had some ankle issues, some knee issues last year. I think he got speared in the thigh, or a real terrible Charlie horse in the thigh, and so he dealt with that all last season. And when we're not deep, which we've never been deep, them boys got to play minute after minute after minute. They hardly ever come out. So them not being beat up doesn't mean. I mean, it's awesome, but they could get beat up in the first basketball game. I mean, it happens too. But it's nice to have them healthy and ready to go for their senior year. I told them to play football. I've never told a kid not to play football, especially my basketball players, because I like them to play football because they're used to contact. Coach Frazier did a good job in the weight room. That means I don't have to work them out. They're in shape, but they're not in running shape for basketball. But they can take contact. And I told them, I said, you're going to miss it. You won't miss practice. You won't miss the grueling days. But on Friday nights, you'll miss hanging out with the boys and doing all that. And I told them to go play. And I thought they were. And Charles is one of my babysitters from running charters. And I knew they had workouts that morning. He showed up, and I was like, don't you have workouts? He's like, I ain't playing. And one thing about Charles and Shamel is they are the two most loyal kids I've ever had. Kyron Bowman was also very loyal. But to have two, like if Charles doesn't do phenoms, Shamel's not doing phenoms.
Oh, wow.
If Charles doesn't do football, Shamel's not doing football.
They're attached to the hip.
The only thing they have done separate that I know of is Charles played soccer, and Shamel did not.
That's right.
He did.
Yeah, and Charles is really good. That's what helped his athleticism was his sophomore year playing soccer.
Uh-huh.
And he wanted to play this year, but he wanted to play late. And I told him, I said, again, I ain't telling no kid not to play a sport, but you don't want to go in the middle of a season and possibly ruin your ankle, your knees, your thighs, your hips, whatever, just because you're bored because you did not play football.
Yeah, and I'm sure the football team missed them a little bit, but it'll be nice to have them come in fresh and not be risking those injuries. You guys are coming off a 20-7 season last year, won a conference championship. Mm-hmm. You guys are in the middle of a conference run, aren't you?
Yeah, it's weird, man. I enjoy, everybody wants to win one. I never thought we'd do this, 4 in a row. And I know coaches have way better coaches than I am that have never won one.
Sure.
So for us to be that lucky,
especially with the conference change
conference change, we went from a 2A, 1A to a now 1A where they only 2A, even though I think we should be a 1A size high school. But to be able to do that and play, just the lack of depth and being able to continue that is pretty amazing. Yeah. And a lot of luck goes into that. We ain't had the major injuries. Everybody stayed healthy, and we've had the ability to, when people were off on a night, somebody picked them up. I mean, I think last year we had a game where 3 people scored. Charles and Shamel equaled 60-some points. Jacob Nelson had 4. So, a lot of luck involved in that.
Your Griffey's 41-3 in conference.
Wow. And now you'll have a chance to do something this year that has only been done, I think, one other time in the history of the school.
Yeah, I think they won 7 in a row with Billy.
Mm-hmm.
So Cecil Lilly, I remember last year I was talking to Cecil and we were looking at the numbers and everything, and I was like, man, there was a stretch right there of 4, and then there was a stretch of 7. We got a stretch of 3. And Cecil's like, yeah, that's cool, And I was like, you know who that other guy was? He's like, yeah, I know him a little bit, knowing it was Cecil. And I was like, yeah, so what you got to say there? What kind of words of wisdom can you give me there, Cecil? And he was like, just go out there and do what you do, But, yeah, pretty cool to be in that realm of names, And it ain't me. It's the kids. The kids, you got to have good players to win games. Coaches kind of get you there, but the players do everything. I always tell them I take the losses and they take the wins.
On the minus side, you lose Jacob Nelson, which is no small loss.
Yeah, he was the one I had for 4 years. I always make them, even when I have I make them play JV until they prove me they need to be on varsity. And if I'd have had him his freshman year, we'd probably beat West at West, the game we lost by 3. He had 20-some points in that JV game, just like a man amongst boys playing out there. So and he wasn't a basketball player. He's just a pure athlete. So being able to have him on the team for 4 years, and then he grew into a pretty good basketball player. I think he had 600 points in his career. Huge loss because he knew everything. He knew the guard role, he knew the forward role, he knew the system, he knew me. A lot of that personality stuff goes into wins and coaching and getting along and all that. There's a lot of players I've coached that do not like me. And there's a lot of players that have figured me out, and I figured them out. So Jacob was one of those. We just kind of meshed, and you lose a lot more than just points and rebounds when you lose a kid like that.
Well, I'm curious, though, with Shamel and Charles both being guards and Jacob being a pretty big kid, are you going to miss that presence in the post, and what do you think will be there to replace that?
Well, Sean Walker, one I mentioned earlier, he was a 6-man for us last year. He was actually an all-conference player that was a 6-man for us.
He was one of your better rebounders.
Which is awesome. I had that when I was at Havelock with Khalil Barrett. And when you can have a 6-man that plays starter minutes and produces like a starter, that's awesome. So I'm hoping that he will kind of fill that void. He can score the ball. He can rebound. He loves the game, and he's always out there. And Jaden, one reason I do like to bring them up if they have a chance to play. I don't ever like to bring anybody up if they're not going to play. I like them to get their minutes on JV, even though you get more quality practice on the varsity level. But having Jaden up as a sophomore last year, and I teetered. I told Coach Washington, I said, he's got one more game. If he doesn't get it, if he's not mentally getting it, I'm sending him to JV. And it clicked. He got it. And then by the end of the year, you didn't realize Jaden Watson was a sophomore. So him coming in as a junior now, he's bigger, he's stronger, he's more athletic. He had a little hunger for the game last year. Like the boys at the end of the season, they didn't want the season to end. Now, nobody wants the season to end. But as soon as we lost Farmville, they were ready to practice. Like, they were ready to go. You know, it wasn't like, let's take a break. Okay, that's a long season. They're ready to go. So having that, hopefully, 2 guys will fill that void that Jacob, left.
Just for context, we're mentioning Shamel Baker and Charles Betheka a lot.
Yeah.
Shamel averaged 24 points, about 5 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 2.5 steals. Charles averaged 22 points, 4 rebounds, about 4 assists, and 3 steals. Charles was Conference Player of the Year. Shamel was our Player of the Year. You could have flipped those. Mm-hmm. Shamel could have been Conference Player of the Year. Charles could have been our Player of the Year. Or Shamel could have swept both of them, or Charles could have swept both of them. That's how close they are, right?
I think the year before, Shamel did sweep both of them.
Oh, wow.
I think he was Conference Player of the Year and the County Player of the Year. So it's happened. It's not nothing new. And you know what's cool about having them? A lot of people love to win awards, and the players of their caliber, it's just another thing. Like, it's not something they strive for. If they get it, they did their job. And people don't understand how much pressure goes into that. But everybody wants that glory. And for them, it's just another thing. Like, it's cool. They ain't going to go there and boast about it and brag about it and throw it in your face. It's just something to put on the wall, and then they're going to go out there and play basketball because they love playing basketball more than they love winning awards.
They're gym rats, right?
Gym rats. Oh, my gosh.
They seem very even-tempered gym rats, too. Like, they don't let things, affect them too much on the court.
The 2 best guards, all around. And that's coaching a kid that made it to the NBA. The 2 best mentally focused, just day in, day out, good kids, humble kids. The great players are humble. If you walked into the gym, you would not know who Shamel and Charles were. You would have, after you watch them play, you would. But you couldn't walk into the gym and say, oh, that's them, because they're not that loud, boastful type. So having them with that mindset and that attitude is what keeps them level-headed during the game.
Size up the conference for us. What do you think the race will look like?
I think the race is going to be between us and Pamlico again, just like it has been the last 2 years. They got a new coach that can change things, but he's been there with Earl for I don't know how long, for a long time, so he knows the system. He might change some stuff. They got some good players. They were young, kind of like us. And after that, I tell you who I think is going to be tough is Lejeune. Lejeune had legit guards, had legit bigs. Their record didn't show it, but Lejeune was good. And I think if those kids come back, I don't know if they transferred. I don't think they did. But I think if they come back, they're going to be tough. And they got size, too. They got, we got size, but we're not tall. We're just thick. They got length, like tall length.
They could be a dark horse, huh?
Could be. Just depend. And they got a new coach, too.
Wow.
I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Conference and counties full of new coaches.
Yeah. So in our conference, me, Jared Adams at Northside, Jones got a new coach. Their guy went to Newbern High School. I don't know if he's coaching basketball or his assistant. Southside got a new. I think they got a new coach, and maybe they didn't. I can't remember.
You can't keep track of
it.
But
it's been a revolving door of coaches.
And you set your clock by the Mariners. They go to the third round just about every year. Griffey's 4 years, they've gone to the third round. 10 of the past 12 years, he has made it to the third round. We're going to the third round this year for the Mariners.
It's time to get over the hump. if we can meet somebody besides Farmville Central in the third round, we have a real good chance. But it's hard to go up against them, man.
Yeah.
Open enrollment, they loaded. It is tough. And it's tough for me to go into a gym like that 99.8% knowing the outcome. And the David and the Goliath stories, that stuff don't happen anymore. That stuff is tough. So let's go out there and do the best we can, but it's the hand we're dealt. If we were 1A, it might be different, but we'd be facing the Wilson Preps and all them. So,
all right, Daniel Griffee, we'll see you out there soon enough. Thanks for coming in, man.
All right, appreciate you having me on.
Hi, folks. Bob Lowry here, and this episode of the Paper Boys Podcast is brought to you by the Carteret County Speedway.
This weekend is huge at Carteret County Speedway. Saturday features the Carolina Mini Stock Nationals 100-lap race. Sunday is the Solid Rock Carriers Race of Champions with limited late models and legends competing for big money. Tickets $15 Saturday, $20 Sunday. Kids down and under free. Military discount with ID, VIP, trackside, camping, and Moonshiners Restaurant. All at Carteret County Speedway. This Saturday and Sunday, last races of the year. Green flag drops at 4 both days. Details on Facebook. Tickets at CarteretSpeedway.com.
This is West Carteret coach Will Kenon, and this is the Paper Boys Podcast.
Croatan coach John Humphrey joins us now. Thanks for being with us, Coach.
Thanks for having me.
Humphrey is a former basketball star with &1. He was a pro basketball player in Japan. He spent how many years were you a professional player, Coach?
15 years.
15 years. And now he's in Carteret County, back in Carteret County after being a star at West Carteret High School, doing his thing. And now he is the head coach, first-year head coach at Croatan High School. Last year he was the assistant. Scott McBride was the head coach. They have flipped those roles. Scott McBride is now the assistant. You're the head coach. Tell us how that came about.
It was really Scott's idea. I mean, Scott and I, we played together, West. I've known him for a long time, and we just kept going back and forth, and I'll do this, he'll do that. I'll do this, he'll do that. And finally Scott said, how about, I see where your passion is at. You do this, and I just help you. And I was like, well, whatever's best for the kids. And we talked to the guys that was on the team last year, and they was like, okay, whatever. Because, again, both of us were coaching. So to the outside world, it changed, but really in our locker room and in the gym, ain't nothing changed.
Okay. And what's fun about it, too, is you guys will both have kids on the team. You got your son, Jaden Hilliard, and he'll have his kid, Kenon, on the team next year or this year as well. So that'll be interesting to see how that dynamic works.
Well, both of them know that dad and coach are two different people.
For sure.
Now, unfortunately for Jaden, when he get pulled to the side, I can say some choice words to him. I know his parents.
There you go. Now, the Cougars are coming off an 11-13 season last year. You guys finished 2-9 in the conference. Definitely some games there you'd like to have back. Coming in this year, you've got a lot of kids that are coming back from last year. What's the vibe like in the gym right now? You guys excited for the upcoming season?
Yeah, we're excited, but I think that we have to stay focused, and because we're trying to bring a winning mentality there. It never had it. So my job and what I had struggled with last year is the game ebbs and flows to get them to understand that. And then when they get down, the game ain't over. I guess in the past when they got down, they kept getting farther and farther and farther down. So I'm trying to change the narrative. I'm trying to change the way they think. The basketball is fine once you change the mindset.
Yeah, coming off, one hand, 11-13 overall, 2-9 in the conference, finishing 5th out of 16 doesn't sound great, but the year before they were 1-19, 1-9 in the conference. So definitely made some strides last year, Coach. And do you feel like that was a building block to a better future?
I do, because the year before that they won 3 games. So I think we won more games than the juniors are now seniors won more games last year than they did the first 3 combined. I could be wrong with that, but that's what they were saying. So I think they got a little taste of winning, and when they lost, they was very upset, and that's what I enjoyed. So that let me know that they care. I didn't want them to get complacent and used to, like Groundhog Day, used to losing. So now last year towards the end, they was getting upset when they was losing. I think, man, we're headed in the right direction.
Yeah, there's no question that last year was a huge improvement. It's the most wins since the 2012-2013 season, and only one of the last 10 seasons has had a winning record, and you guys were, or even at 500, you guys were a win away from that. So definitely feels like the program is moving in the right direction.
And that's what we're going towards. And I know people may think that we, like, I'm in the locker room, so let's do this, let's do that. But I'm not, to be honest with you. I'm like, I don't want to put undue stress or expectation on these guys. Our goals this year is very simple and minute. You won 11 games in the regular games in the season last year. Win 12 this year. You went to the first round of the playoffs. Go to the second round. You won 2 games in the conference. Go win 3 games. Now, of course, do we want to exceed that? Of course. But these are expectations that's very attainable. So it ain't like, go win the conference. Go win state. It's not that. So that's their goals and they're going towards, and hopefully we'll go above and beyond. But it's real simple.
You had a dynamic sophomore duo last year, Trey Jones, Jaden Hilliard. Trey Jones with about 17 points a game, about 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. Jaden with 11 points, 2.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists, a couple of steals. I'm assuming those guys are back and are going to be your leaders this year.
Yes, sir. They're back, and like I said, they play well together. They both play for me in the summertime, so they know each other. But it's not going to be them, really, to make us go. It's going to be the others. How well do the others play? I mean, I guess that's what happened in conference. First, it's hard to shut down Trey. You're not going to shut down Trey. You can just make it difficult for him. But so they keyed in on Jaden and made it real difficult for Trey. And then we had Luke start to step up towards the end, but nobody really stepped up and go above and beyond. But now I think we got some pieces around, and we're going to be well balanced, and it's just going to be hard to key on one person. I got on my bigs last night, matter of fact. They got to play. They got to score. They'll make the guards' life easier. They're so used to just kicking it out, but I put numbers on them, expectation, what I expect out of them, and I know that they can do it. So I think that it should be fun to watch this year, and I know we're going to be disciplined, or I'm going to find 5 people who are disciplined, and we're just going to put on a show, but put on a show the right way, win or lose.
Yeah, you mentioned Luke. I think that's Luke Green. He was bordering on double-double territory last year with 9.4 points and 7 rebounds a game, and then a guy like Holden Martin coming back, or Max Cardona. I know he's been hailed as a big character guy on the football team and somebody that maybe a sort of a coach on the court, coach on the field, and so you've definitely got some pieces out there.
Yeah, and we got Seth is coming back. Seth actually last year he came in late in the season. Like he played sparingly, but he came on. A kid that worked hard every day, never put his head down. Never complained that he didn't play, and he got his shot in the tournament. When I just went and set the guys out, and he scored 21 points in that game.
Wow!
So, and I told him, now you made a mistake, because now I know you can do it, and I expect it. And I don't expect 21 every night, but I expect him to go play hard. So he's going to have a big role this year.
And you're talking about Seth Boyette, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And continuity should be key too, right, Coach? I mean, the flip with you and McBride, but obviously you're still both there, and you bring back just about everybody, right? So, and everybody's had a year in the system. You would think that would get you all running start this year. Yeah,
well, now I'm changing up a little bit because I have the pieces to run the offense the way I want. We have a transfer that came in from Jacksonville and from Swansboro, so that the dynamics is a little different. So the learning curve is there. You know, everybody does stuff different. So once we gel and get together, I mean, this week in practice is the first time I made final cuts yesterday. First time we got everybody together. You know, football just came out. And unfortunately, soccer lost. And so they just got here, and all the other guys been there for already a week. So we still ain't got the continuity that I want yet, but we're going to get there, and I think that we have the making to do something special. Even though the core that you were talking about, well, the core is going to be there again next year.
Yeah, you had a lot of, like we said, had a lot of sophomores last year. Yeah, you got Max is coming off of football, Jaden's coming off of soccer, and so you don't even have the team that you've had. I'm sure, with the first year coach, you need a couple weeks with these kids.
Yes, and actually Max decided not to play this year. I know he got injured. I know he wanted to focus on getting stuff ready for college. So, like I said, that's a big loss. So, it's somebody's got to step up. I hate to say it, but it's next man up. I mean, that's no offense to Max or anybody. And, like, Luke is injured right now, and I told my post, hey, next man up. Are we going to over there cry because Luke can't play, or are you going to take his minutes? Like, to me, the way we always play, iron sharpens iron. And you should be scared to not go to practice, scared to sit out because somebody's going to take your minutes. If we just complacent of coming off the bench and playing 2 or 3 minutes, we'll never be as good as we possibly can be.
Now, you mentioned some transfers. Who are those guys coming in?
We got Carson. Carson played varsity last year at Jacksonville. Carson is he's another guard, experienced guard. He's a junior. And he can really help us. Carson can really shoot it. He's learning a new role because I don't need another shooting guard. I need somebody to help me at the point guard. But he's willing, and he's a workaholic. Then I have a sophomore that came in, Matthew from Swansboro. He played JV last year. So the game is a little fast right now, and I'm teaching him how to slow it down and be a factor down low. Because, I mean, Swansboro lucky they ain't need no bigs. I need them. So I need them to score down there and not kick the ball back out. So, again, it's a learning curve, man. I just got to teach, and hopefully come the 17th, which ain't far away, we can put a good product out there and all the teaching come together.
Now, how about the conference last year? I mean, or this year, Coach? I know last year, like, there were some games you'd like to get back, but this is one of those conferences that there's definitely some opportunities. You know, Swansboro had a great season last season, West Carteret, White Oak as well, but there's some opportunity here. What does it look like to you this year?
Well, I know that West Carteret is about like us. They rebuilding, got a new coach, so I know he's a very good friend of mine. He's just trying to get his stuff together. Swansboro got their nucleus back. They was all young. White Oak just got 3 transfers. They're loaded. I'm not sure about Dixon and everybody, but we put no asterisk on nobody this year. Like I said, we're going to treat every game the same, man. And I'm a firm believer we play our game and not let nobody else play their game, we're going to come out pretty successful. When we start worried about, we have to beat West or we have to beat Swansboro, then it's just too much undue pressure, and then we start thinking and overthinking instead of just being relaxed and play basketball.
All right, Coach, we're going to see you out there soon enough. Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
I'm Ryan Kelly.
I'm Lynn Schultz.
And we're the hosts of the Senior Moment podcast.
Each week we bring you conversations with experts right here in our community about the common and uncommon challenges facing our aging population and caregivers.
We discuss the challenges of caring for a loved one with dementia, as well as the importance of health planning, family history, and much more.
Join us every week for Senior Moment, streaming now on Spotify, YouTube, and at CarolinaCoastOnline.com.
We're joined now by the second West Carteret grad in a row, the second first-year coach in a row, West Carteret's Will Kenon. Thanks for being with us.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. Thanks for having me.
What's it like being a first-year coach at your alma mater?
It's been very interesting so far. Just trying to get everything together and get ready for this season.
You were telling me when we did the story on you getting the job this was a dream.
Most definitely. Anytime you get to come back and give. That's always a dream. So I'm very excited about this opportunity.
Obviously, you've had kids come through the program. Were you someone that always came out, Friday night, Tuesday nights to watch games, or did that start when James came in?
Yeah, I used to come back and watch games. I did more obviously once my kids were here, but yeah, I've always been try to be a part of the program. As far as being with Mark Mansfield early on the JV squad, trying to help out with that. So yeah, I've always been interested in West Carteret Patriots.
Will's had a couple kids come through the West program, and James Kenon was a fantastic basketball player, and Megan was a fantastic volleyball player, and the other one went to New Bern, you said?
Yes,
couldn't help another program out at West Carteret?
Yep, Chloe Lawrence tried to get it down here, but she wanted to stay out there, so it happened like that.
Well, tell us a little bit about this year's team. I think it's safe to say you've had some losses last year due to graduation.
Yeah, last year we had 10 seniors, so we've had to regroup. We have 2 returners from last year's team. Obviously, Jalen Hewitt, all conference last year. We also have Matt Coker. He's our lone senior for this year. So we're going to have 1 senior, 5 juniors, 5 sophomores, and a freshman. So we're looking forward to the challenge.
It's a lot different going from 10 seniors where when you start, you don't have to teach them too much because they got it all, not just how to play, but the expectations of the program already in place. And then now you're coming in with some younger guys. Is it not? I mean, I'm sure it's nice to have at least 1 senior to help kind of set the example on the floor during practice.
Most definitely. With he and Jalen, they've come in and taken the reins, and I'm very happy to have them. Very happy to have them. Of course, we're changing some things, so they're having to adapt to my style, versus Coach Mansfield. So it's a little different for them too.
I was going to say, what's a Will Kenon coach team going to look like on the floor this year?
There you go.
We're going to be energetic. We're going to try to be very, very good on the defensive end. We're going to try to let that fuel our offense.
Okay. The Patriots are coming off an 18-8 season overall, where they finished 7-3 in a pretty tough conference with some teams like Swansboro and White Oak, and it looks like those teams have reloaded or have added the same talent. Still got Croatan in the mix, Richlands in the mix, Dixon in the mix. So they don't make it easy for any first-year coach, do they?
No, sir. No, sir. It's not easy, but if it was easy, it wouldn't be fun, right?
That's right.
Have you shaped up the conference? Do you know what the order is going to look like if you had to put a prediction on it?
Well, I know the returning champion is White Oak.
Yeah.
They've brought most of their team back. Probably added a few. Swansboro is going to be awesome this year. They lost a few, but their core team will be coming back as well. So I expect it's going to be a tough night every night in our conference.
Now, you mentioned Jalen Hewitt. He was your top scorer from last year, 12.9 points per game, 6.5 rebounds, just about an assist and a steal per game. Obviously, a really gifted athlete, someone who has excelled in the football field this fall. What do you expect to get out of him?
Our all conference quarterback. I expect that he's going to lead our team. He's very smart, and he's able to learn on the fly. So he's able to help me teach, and that's awesome. He's going to be a very good guy for us this year.
What makes him a special player on the court?
Well, he's long, man. He's very long. He's quick. He shoots well. So we're just excited to have him on our team.
The ball goes in the hole, but it's a little bit of a funky delivery, isn't it?
Yeah, hey, it goes in. It goes in. Have you ever seen Reggie Miller? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's funny you bring that up because he's someone that when I've taken photos this fall, it's hard to get a release photo of him at quarterback too because his release is so quick, and you try to get that photo where their arm is up and they've got the ball, but with him he's scrambling a lot, and it's it's a little side arm, it's a little quick, and it's hard to. That's interesting that
both his football and his
basketball that's interesting.
Yeah. Well, tell us about somebody we don't know. I mean, you have to bring back too. I'm sure there's some players come over from JV that we're going to learn about quick.
Yeah, Matt Coker, our lone senior. He didn't get a lot of playing time last year, but he's gonna get plenty this year. He's worked super hard this summer to get ready for this. This is his coming out party. We're very excited about that. We have Nehemiah Hester and Jack Bell, Larry Tootle coming from JV with a few more. So I think we're going to be okay. We have to work really hard on taking care of the little things, and once we take care of those little things, I think other things are going to pan out for us.
Funny the dynamic this year. We were making fun of Griffee. He's a wily veteran. What's it like you and Humphrey? You say you guys go back being both first-year coaches, 2 of the 3 county coaches, first-year coaches.
Man, I've known Hump for forever. We used to play together and so forth. So we talk every now and then. We're both super excited about how things are moving in the county, and know that we're going to be able to make a huge difference here.
You brought up some of those JV guys, and I'm taking a look here, and if I'm not mistaken, it looks like this JV team went 18-2 last year. Looks like a talented group coming up.
Yeah,
who knows how to win.
Talented group. Just Josiah Jones, Jay Murray, Quali Hargrove.
Oh, you know what? This is part of that group that was part of that middle school championship.
Cameron Pavey, yes.
Cameron Pavey was the last one. Okay, yeah, I remember this was the group that won it was a big middle school championship game. I think it was with Broad Creek, maybe.
Okay.
Newport Broad Creek. It was a few years ago. And I remember because it was Jay Murray and I'm trying to think of the other kid who plays football for West. Anyway, it was just one of those big games that everybody packed the house for in Newport. And so this team, this group coming up seems like they've been playing together for a little while.
Yes.
Yeah, anytime you go 18-2, you know what you're doing, I guess.
Yeah, pretty good. We also have one freshman on our team, Jawan Tripp. Obviously, he's coming from Moorhead Middle. He's one of our guards. I think he's going to be special.
When you look at the roster that you've got this year, I know it's still early. What's the dynamic of the team? Is it going to be a team that goes to the hole? Is it a team that's going to shoot a lot? Are you guard heavy? Are you forward heavy?
We don't have any bigs.
Okay.
Per se,
Right.
We're not going to be posting up in the paint.
There's no James Cannons out there, right?
Yeah, we're
not yet, at least.
Yeah, we're not gonna be posting up. We're gonna be running some 5 out and try to get points on the break and try to put some pressure on the opposite team.
Well, you and Humphrey also not only are you both West grads, not only are first year coaches, but you're also going to hit the ground running because you were both assistants on the teams. You're the head coaches of last year. Last year you were on the staff of Mark Mansfield's staff, and how's that giving you a head start?
Well, head start.
Or has it given you a head start? Maybe a better question.
Seeing it as Mark graduated 10 and then retired himself.
He didn't help you out.
I don't really see that as a head start. But just being around the program last year, I was able to kind of get some of the reins in and what do's and don'ts and so forth and so on. So as far as that's concerned, I was able to learn on the fly there pretty quick there.
With so many young guys, have you had some scrimmages scheduled?
We are not going to scrimmage any other teams this year. We need all the time that we have for us. And so we're going to take that time for us. There are some, we'll obviously do some inner scrimmaging, and we'll probably bring some people in to, give us a different look. But no outside scrimmaging this year.
I imagine one of the biggest things going from assistant to head is all of a sudden you're in charge of all this administration type stuff.
Wow.
Paperwork.
Yeah. AD Turner said, you didn't know there was a whole bunch of this other stuff. And so he was definitely right. There's a whole bunch of admin stuff that has to be done. We're also missing Robert Lancaster. He retired.
Oh wow, that's right.
Last year. So that's a huge loss for us. So just trying to pull things together. We do have Kevin Jones, who was on the staff last year, and I've pulled in Michael McBride, who was Dylan McBride's father.
Yeah, sure.
He was our point guard on the varsity team last year, so that makes up our varsity team there.
And starting off with New Bern, and then talk about getting thrown into the mix, second game of the year, East Carteret High School.
Oh, that's going to be a great one. But we're not looking at East Carteret right now. We are looking at New Bern. We're not going to look ahead. We can't afford to do that.
But as somebody who played in those games coming through West Carteret, I know it's going to be exciting to be in a coaching position where you have to just kind of sit there and hope that they do what they're supposed to do because you can't do anything about it, right?
Well, it's going to be a John Thompson moment. I'm gonna have my towel, and we're going to coach it up and see what happens. So we're very excited about it.
Okay, we'll see you out there soon enough. Thanks for joining us today.
Yes, sir. Much appreciated. Thank you for having me.
Hi, folks. Bob Lowry here, and this episode of the Paper Boys Podcast is brought to you by the Carteret County Speedway.
This weekend is huge at Carteret County Speedway. Saturday features the Carolina Mini Stock Nationals 100-lap race. Sunday is the Solid Rock Carriers Race of Champions with limited late models and legends competing for big money. Tickets $15 Saturday, $20 Sunday. Kids 10 and under free. Military discount with ID, VIP, trackside, camping, and Moonshiners Restaurant. All at Carteret County Speedway. This Saturday and Sunday, last races of the year. Green flag drops at 4 both days. Details on Facebook. Tickets at CarteretSpeedway.com.
Hey guys, I'm LeVar Fisher, and you're listening to the Paperboy Podcast.
All right, we're going to try this again. First time we tried to predict the season, we did football.
It went horribly.
Yeah, we didn't do so great. So we'll see what we do here for basketball. All right, boys basketball. We'll start off with the team we think will be the best in the county, East Carteret. Let's give overall and conference record. What you think?
So I've got them going 20-3, and I've got them finishing first in their conference, just an even 10-0. So I just don't see.
So you're saying they're
them losing anybody in the close.
So you're saying they're going to have a pretty decent year.
Yeah, and they need it after the fall that some of those teams.
Rough fall for the Mariners. Oh, athletic program. Yeah, but 20-3.
I think it's going to be a great year. Certainly going to the third round if history.
They always go to the third
repeats.
round.
What happens after that, we'll see. I mean, Jamel and Charles are seniors.
Lights out.
Yeah, this is it.
Those guys are lights out.
Those guys know that this is their last chance to do something special.
Most nights, unless one of them is just having a really bad night, they're going to be in a ball game.
Sure.
Yeah. But they're going to average. Their numbers are going to be incredible.
So what do you have?
I've got 18-5, so I'm a little. I've got two games difference.
A little more wary.
And I've got 9-1. I think they might split with Pamlico, but I can see 10-0.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to Croatan High School with a first-year coach, John Humphrey. They were pretty good last year for Croatan.
Yeah, we talked about it with John. I mean, they went 11-13 last year, and for that program, that is really good. That's the most wins in over a decade. It's only a hair off of finishing 500, which they've only matched or exceeded once in the last decade. Pretty good, and they bring pretty much everybody back.
Yeah, and Trey Jones, they got Jaden Hilliard. That conference is tough, but they could put up some numbers. I've got them at 15-8.
Okay, I'm a little bit just a hair off, 14-9.
Okay, and 5-5 in the conference.
Yeah, I think we both see them tying for third in that conference at 5-5. I see them getting swept by Swansboro. That team, and then everything we've heard about White Oak, they are apparently gearing up for a big run. They're going to get swept there probably. And I see Croatan and West's pretty even this year. So if they split, I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah. And then we've got the Patriots, who've lost everybody, including the head coach, the assistant coach, the towel people, the concession people are gone. The principal resigned. The AD left. I mean, they're decimated.
It's definitely a very different looking situation over there. When we talked to Will Kenon just a few minutes ago, the thing that stuck out to us was the JV program went 18-2. If not this year, you're building for whatever's next. Right. Those transition years can be hard. For me, I've got them right around 500. I got them at 10-11.
Okay, we're one game off. I got 11-10.
There you go. So I think that would be, if that's the result. And I'm a Patriot fan. I after the changeover in personnel in terms of players on the court,
10 seniors,
I think I'd be pretty happy.
Yeah.
A lot of times those transition years are 4 or 5 win seasons.
Sure.
So if they can end up around that 500 mark, but again we have them 5-5 in the conference, tying for third with Croatan, I think that would be considered a pretty strong.
I was going to say wash, rinse, repeat. We say the same thing about them as we do Croatan.
Yeah.
Swept by Swansboro. Swept by White Oak, split with Croatan.
That's right.
Yeah, 5-5.
Right. Yeah.
And then we'll see what happens in the now we're basing these numbers on we're not including holiday tournaments.
Right. Those are going to
we don't know who they're playing.
Yeah.
And this does not include conference tournaments. This is not including playoffs. So these numbers will be different. This is regular season without us knowing about.
It's more or less how we feel like their season's going to go.
Right.
We know East is going to have a great season.
Should health, and of course, health plays a part in everything.
Obviously, that's a big part.
Right.
Croatan should have its best season
since the Dexter Williams days.
Well, no, Kirk McDougal had a great season. I think he was.
They won 20, I think.
Yeah, 20 exactly. But then after that, it's been tough for the Cougs. Yeah. And then of course Will Sutton, who was a coach for 2 years, he did have an 8-5 season during the COVID year.
Right.
But then the following year, I don't think they won any games. So it was just, I think if they can do well this year to have back-to-back seasons where there's some improvement, I think that would be. That would be great.
Yeah, McDougal in the 2012-13 season went 20-6. They were 10-4 in conference, finished third. So,
and I remember when Jeff Hawkins was there for 4 years, the program got marginally better every year, but they never quite got over that hump.
That's right.
That was a tough conference, and not that this conference is any easier, but it certainly seems like they will probably finish over 500 this year.
Player of the year for us this year, we've got Shamel Baker and Charles Matheka at East Carteret. You've got Jalen Hewitt at West Carteret, and you've got Trey Jones and Jaden Hilliard at Croatan. It's a 5-man race.
Those seem like the most likely options. Yeah.
Unless somebody transfers in we don't know about.
Well, maybe one of these youngins from West Carteret steps up.
JV kid.
I've always liked. I've really liked.
You're the biggest Luke Green fan in the planet.
There's not many people that not many people cover Croatan, and we don't get a lot of Euro step, hop step, big players who go straight to the basket in this county. Usually you're post up or you're a shooter or a guard, and I enjoy seeing post play from the high post like that.
I'll give some people some insight into behind the scenes how the sausage is made kind of a thing here for the News Times. Zach and I were openly rooting for a West Carteret player to be Player of the Year last year. Not because we're Patriots fans, but because we wanted somebody to get it because we didn't want to have to pick between Charles and Shamel. Because how do you pick between those two?
It's really difficult especially when they're on the same team.
Yeah.
And you don't want to say like, well, you were just a hair better, and so you deserve Player of the Year. And we also don't. We really try to stay away from co-players.
Don't want to share it.
No, it's not.
No.
No.
Does the NBA do it?
This is America. We're not doing ties. No.
Second is the first loser. No, we're not doing that. So it's going to be the same thing this year. It's like Charles Shamel. Who do you give it to if it comes down to them, which it probably will.
Yeah.
Which it did last year. What happened was Charles was Conference Player of the Year and Shamel was our Player of the Year.
Now here's the difference, though, is that last year Jalen was sharing the floor with a lot of very talented players. He ends up with, I think, 12 and some points per game. That is not going to be the case this year.
He could put up some monster numbers because
he's going to have to carry he's going to have to carry more of a load than he did last year. And I wouldn't be shocked to see him end up in the 20s or 18 or, depending on, with his length, if he could get some rebounds and some other numbers, it could be interesting.
He could be flirting with a double-double most nights.
And, we don't just base this on points per game and rebounds per game. We look at shooting percentages. We look at how well they do from the free throw line. Do they step up big in big games?
Do they lead the team?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And Croatan is going to be the same thing at East. Who do you give it to between those two if it came down to those two, Trey or Jaden?
Yeah, Jaden's a pure guard. He's going to end up with some more steals. He's going to shoot threes, and he's going to get points.
I will say, and to piggyback off what you said, how much more of things we base it on other than stats. Jalen could put up monster numbers, but if they're around 500, we're probably going with one of the East kids if they have a great year.
Yeah, that is the thing, too, is you can be a great player, but I think a part of this award is being able to tangibly see the elevation of your team based on that play. And sometimes you don't have any control of that as a player, but that is what it is.
I mean, we'll be honest. We haven't always given our Player of the Year to the best player in the county. We've given it to the player we thought was most valuable to his team and gave that team the best season they could possibly have.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors that go into it, and it would be great to plug in a bunch of data and say, okay, based on, like have an AI program run all these things and say, well, this person is,
analytically speaking.
That's right. But, sports doesn't work like that. Not every best team on paper wins, and there's a lot of intangible factors that go into it.
Yeah, well, I mean, if somebody averages 30 and 10, but their team wins 4 games, we're probably not giving you Player of the Year.
No, probably not.
Yeah,
no.
They have the points and the rebounds have to matter.
They do.
Yeah,
and it'll be interesting to see if a team, let's say a team like Croatan, I've got them at 14-9. Let's say something happens.
But boost that by 3 or 4.
Sure. They end up at 16, 17 wins, and one of those players has 16 points, 17 points a game. That may play a bigger role than 22 or 23 per game at an East team who's
we were expecting.
And their conference is not as strong.
Right.
And they've also done something similar the past few years.
Right. Yeah, maybe Croatan finished the second, and we're like, whoa.
That would be something.
Trey Jones or Jay Hilliard.
Sure.
We're looking at you differently now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.